There's Mike hitting 17 shots with 17 divots in front of the line.
So the point is that Mike would never make a swing that would hit behind hit back here where the poorest players hit every time.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
So if you want to start understanding how to interpret the game, which is what this clinic is about, is to teach you how to learn to interpret the game, the first thing that you would do is you would start to observe on every ball that you hit when you swing where the club hits the ground or where it bottoms out.
So now we should describe how you control that.
That's a good time for it. Okay,
how do I control where this club's hitting the ground? Well, the first thing I do is control where my weight is, and I'm measuring the center of my hips and the center of the shoulders. So there's two axes here. If I were to move both of these axes back for whatever reason and keep them there, I'd be prone to hit the furthest behind the ball. If I were to move both of those axes forward and leave them there, I could potentially hit the ball, hit the ground the furthest in front of the ball. However, I could still put all my weight forward, both axes forward, and still hit somewhere behind the ball. That's because there's another piece, and that piece is the handle location and how that affects the circumference of the swing.
And what do you mean by that?
The demonstration of that would be if Andy's the ground, and I push the handle of this club forward, it keeps getting further from Andy's chest. If I turn back and leave the handle the same, I wouldn't hit Andy in the chest. However, if I put the club, move the handle forward, turn back, and for whatever reason start to uncock my wrist or release the club gets longer sooner, it's going to start hitting Andy or the ground behind the ball. And that's where people start learning to raise their body up away from the ground or flex their arms to stop hitting the fat shot, but then they hit a thin one.
And then they think they have a whole bunch
top
of
one.
Right, they think they have a whole bunch of different problems hitting behind and topping, when in reality it's the same fundamental problem, and that is that the low point is behind the swing.
Right.
Right? So just one more time on that for a second, Mike, if you don't mind. So Mike pushes his handle forward, that shortens the circumference, okay? He could swing through here time after time, right, and never hit me. But if he swings back and he shifts both centers back to the right, and then he releases the club, the circumference is the widest, the earliest, the centers are the farthest back, Mike can hit the furthest back on the ground. That's interesting, because it just so happens that that's the way golf has been presented to the masses as a model swing, is shifting the weight back on the backswing. One or both of the centers get, quote, behind the ball, and second, to release the club, to square the club face. So under the pretense of hitting the ball a long way, amateurs are told to shift their weight, and under the pretense of controlling the direction, they're told to roll their wrists over. And in reality, what they're doing is making the bottom of the swing move the furthest back and making its control the most chaotic.
Right. That'd make it almost impossible to ever get past that lowest level of being able to play the game, hitting the ground in front of the ball.
Correct.